Carl Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Think about that for a moment. How many times have you felt like life was on repeat? You leave one relationship only to find yourself in another that feels hauntingly familiar. You switch jobs, yet the same conflicts follow you. You promise not to overwork, but end up drained again. It almost feels as if destiny itself is against you, as if the script was written long before you were born. But Jung would say, this isn't destiny at all. This is your unconscious, quietly pulling the strings from the shadows. The unconscious is everything we don't see, won't face, or can't admit about ourselves. It isn't gone. It's just hidden. And until you shine a light on it, it will guide your life in silence. In this video, we'll explore Jung's most famous insight and see what it means in practical terms. We'll uncover what the unconscious really is, how it shapes the patterns of our lives, why the shadow and our hidden selves matter so much, how dreams reveal our inner world, and what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole. Along the way, we'll lean on Jung's own words because his ideas are as powerful today as when he first wrote them. Do you know what Jung meant by the unconscious? When Jung spoke about the unconscious, he didn't mean just a storage room of forgotten memories. He saw it as something alive, something that influences us every day, whether we realize it or not. He wrote, "The unconscious is not just evil by nature. It is also the source of the highest good. Not only dark, but also light. Not only bestial, semi-human, and demonic, but superhuman, spiritual, and, in the classical sense of the word, divine." For Jung, the unconscious had two levels. The first is the personal unconscious, the repressed memories, the emotions we couldn't handle, the experiences we've buried. This is unique to each person, the story we've lived but have forgotten or denied. The second and deeper level is the collective unconscious. This is shared by all humanity. It contains what Jung called archetypes, universal images and patterns that appear in myths, religions, and dreams across every culture. The hero, the mother, the child, the wise old man, the trickster. These figures live inside all of us. They shape the stories we tell and even the lives we live. The unconscious, in both forms, is not passive. It moves. It speaks through our dreams, our slips of the tongue, our emotional reactions, and the patterns that keep repeating in our lives. Jung believed that until we make these forces conscious, we are not truly free. We are simply repeating what we cannot see. The shadow. The parts you don't want to be. Jung's most practical gift to us is the idea of the shadow, the hidden side of the self. He once wrote, "Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is." The shadow is not evil. It is simply the parts of ourselves we have refused to own. It contains anger, envy, greed, and selfishness. Yes, but also ambition, creativity, tenderness, and vulnerability. The shadow isn't just the darkness we fear. Sometimes it holds the light we are too afraid to shine. When we refuse to face the shadow, it leaks out in ways we can't control. We snap at people we love. We find ourselves jealous of others' success. We become judgmental, harsh, or overly sensitive to certain traits in other people. Jung believed this was projection, the unconscious act of seeing in others what we refuse to admit in ourselves. He explained it simply. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. If arrogance in others drives you mad, perhaps you have disowned your own desire to be recognized. If weakness disgusts you, maybe you are hiding your own vulnerability. The shadow is not just personal baggage. It is a mirror. And until we accept what we see in that mirror, we will keep stumbling over the same patterns, calling them fate. How the unconscious shapes. Fate. When Jung said that the unconscious directs your life, he wasn't speaking of destiny in the mystical sense. He was talking about patterns. Life has a way of repeating the same lessons until we finally pay attention. Think about the person who always ends up in controlling relationships, or the professional who repeatedly sabotages their own success, or the individual who constantly clashes with authority figures. These are not random misfortunes. These are unconscious scripts being played out. Jung believed that the unconscious will keep presenting the same themes over and over until we make them conscious. In his words, life will call you to the same lesson again and again until you learn it. What we call fate, Jung would call unexamined psychology. Dreams, messages from the unconscious. For Jung, dreams were not meaningless, nor were they simply wish fulfillment, as Freud suggested. They were vital messages from the unconscious, expressed in the language of symbols. He wrote, "The dream is the small hidden door in the deepest and most intimate sanctum of the soul. Dreams don't speak in plain words. They speak in images. A chase might represent something you're avoiding. Falling could symbolize fear of failure or loss of control. A house might represent the self, with new rooms appearing as you grow. Water often points to deep emotion, or the unconscious itself." Jung encouraged people to record their dreams and approach them not literally, but symbolically. What matters isn't a dream dictionary, but what the images mean to you. A snake might be terrifying to one person, but healing to another. A recurring figure might be a part of yourself seeking recognition. Dreams, Jung believed, are the psyche's way of balancing and correcting our conscious view of life. They are invitations to growth, if only we take the time to listen. Complexes, emotional knots. That hijack you. One of Jung's great contributions was the idea of complexes, clusters of emotion, memory, and meaning that live in the unconscious and rise to the surface when triggered. You know a complex is active when your reaction to something feels out of proportion. A small comment ruins your whole day. A look from someone throws you into shame. You feel suddenly younger, smaller, or powerless. Complexes are not enemies. They are survival strategies formed long ago. They carry energy, and they want to be recognized. Jung said that a person doesn't simply have complexes. In some moments, the complex has the person. The key is to notice when you are caught and to bring awareness before the complex takes over completely. Active imagination. Dialogues with the unseen. Jung developed a technique he called active imagination. It was a way of meeting the figures, and symbols of the unconscious not just in dreams, but while awake. He would encourage people to sit quietly, focus on an image or a feeling that lingered, and allow it to unfold into a kind of dialogue. For example, if a critical voice appeared in a dream, you could invite that figure into imagination and ask, "Who are you? What do you want?" By writing or drawing what came, you were entering a relationship with the unconscious instead of pushing it away. This practice allowed people to integrate what otherwise would remain hidden. It was a conversation between the known and unknown parts of the self, a bridge between the conscious and unconscious. Archetypes. The roles we all play, Jung's idea of archetypes, helps explain why certain roles feel so familiar. We are drawn to stories of heroes, villains, mothers, tricksters, wise guides, and innocent children, because these archetypes live in us all. The danger comes when we identify too strongly with one archetype and neglect the rest. A person who only lives as the hero may burn out. Someone who only plays the caregiver may become resentful. By acknowledging the full range of archetypes within us, we allow more balance, more wholeness. Archetypes are not cages. They are energies. By becoming conscious of them, we stop living one-note lives and begin to embrace our fuller humanity. Individuation, the work of becoming whole, at the heart of Jung's psychology is the process he called individuation. This is the journey of becoming your true self by integrating the unconscious into consciousness. He wrote, "Individuation means becoming an individual, and insofar as individuality embraces our innermost, last, and incomparable uniqueness, it also implies becoming one's own self. Individuation is not about perfection. It is about wholeness. It is about reclaiming what we have denied, befriending what we have feared, and becoming more complete." Jung often compared it to alchemy, transforming the raw material of the psyche into the gold of a unified self. This process takes courage because it means facing what we've long avoided, but it is the path to freedom. Without it, we are puppets of the unconscious. With it, we become authors of our own lives. Making the unconscious conscious. Practical steps. Jung offered several ways to bring the unconscious into light. Self-reflection and journaling help us notice the patterns that repeat. Shadow work invites us to ask why certain people or traits trigger such strong emotions. Dream analysis gives us a glimpse of what our inner world is trying to communicate. Active imagination allows us to enter direct dialogue with the unseen. Above all, Jung encouraged looking inward. He wrote, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." These practices aren't about control. They are about relationship. The unconscious is not an enemy to conquer, but a partner to understand. Jung's insight is both a warning and an invitation. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. But when you begin the work of awareness, when you face the shadow, listen to dreams, notice projections, and walk the path of individuation, you take back the authorship of your life. The patterns that once felt inevitable begin to loosen. What once seemed like destiny begins to look like choice. And slowly, you move from a life directed by the unseen to a life lived in the light of awareness. In the end, Jung's message is simple. Your fate is not written in the stars. It is written in the parts of yourself you refuse to see. Shine a light there, and you will find not just freedom, but wholeness. As we close, remember that this video is just the beginning of our journey into the wisdom of Carl Jung. Here at MindCrafters, we explore the hidden depths of the mind, the patterns that hold us back, and the insights that set us free. This episode is the first in our special Jung series, where we'll dive deeper into his ideas of the shadow, archetypes, dreams, and the path of individuation. If you found this meaningful, join us by subscribing, not just to watch more videos, but to be part of a community learning how to turn unconscious fate into conscious freedom.